Good evening. MPs are to be given another vote on the Prime Minister's Brexit plans tomorrow, but this time only on one half of the agreement made with the EU. They'll be asked to give their backing to the withdrawal deal, which concerns the divorce bill, the rights of citizens and that controversial matter of the Irish backstop. It needs to get through Parliament tomorrow to guarantee Brexit can be delayed until the 22nd of May. The other part of the deal, the political declaration, which concerns Britain's future relations with the EU, would still need to be backed by MPs in the coming weeks. Labour has criticised the move, calling it a blindfold Brexit. Our political editor, Laura Kuensberg, reports from Westminster.
They won't just be talked into it. Still too many quarrels about what to do.
Mark is in a real minority here because he's
17.4 million people.
No.
Ministers still want to move forward Theresa May's compromise with the EU to end all the noise.
Politicians of all political parties have a duty to put the national interest first so that we can put this controversy behind us and move on to a brighter future for the British people.
But conversations are over for now with the allies they need. The DUP, who won't back the deal, together with a core of Brexiteers who are still holding out.
One thing I would like to see is I think us go back to the EU again, keep the arm of friendship open, explain that there's still time for an exchange of letters providing a legally binding exit from the backstop.
There's a trickle of Brexiteers who'll back Theresa May's deal now she's promised to leave, and they're urging colleagues to join them.
You also want to leave the EU. Guys and girls, it's up to you.
If only it were that simple for Theresa May. Tomorrow she will have another go at getting this place behind her deal. But it's not a third attempt at getting the whole package through, which has already failed twice. You might want to call tomorrow the day of meaningful vote 2.5, because MPs will only be asked to vote on the divorce deal with the European Union. They won't be asked to give another judgment on the whole package, which includes a plan for the long term. Number 10 says it's the last chance to be sure of avoiding a long delay to Brexit.
Mr. Speaker, may I say, the proposal the government is making, when the House listens to the rationale behind it, when it hears the full context of it, I'm sure the House will accept, is not only perfectly lawful, perfectly sensible, and is designed to give this House an opportunity of availing itself of a right that the European Union has given to us to avail ourselves of an extension until May the 22nd.
What the Prime Minister's tried to do is do something that she denied she would do on the 14th of January, and that is to separate the withdrawal agreement from the political declaration, from the future arrangements. Well, you cannot separate them because otherwise you move into a blindfold Brexit on the basis of the withdrawal agreement.
Even with Tories, Number 10's latest wheeze simply might not work.
We're all sharing it. That deal that's on the table has all of our names on it.
Even those who didn't back Brexit can't agree.
We've been in the EU for 45 years. We would hope that the settlement that we decide on would last us for another 50 years. It should not be one that we are held to vote for at gunpoint. And you can't easily get people to support different options because they take us to a different place.
A second referendum.
That's not the point. The point is we cannot support that deal.
The question is the referendum doesn't settle all of the difficult choices and trade-offs that need to be made in any kind of deal that we're talking about. So saying, well, my answer to the problem of complexity is to pass a binary choice back to the people doesn't settle that one bit.
How is your party going to sort this out? You've been having this argument for nearly 3 years.
I think the solution to this lies in looking beyond the party to Parliament as a whole.
We needed a process that reached across the other side of the House of Commons and worked with the other tribes and factions and the other parties.
There are so many doubts, though, about the Prime Minister's deal getting through, whether in two halves or at the same time, that behind closed doors, MPs from all parties are hunting for solutions.
Well, I won't be voting for this half deal, and it's another outrage by the Prime Minister trying to circumvent Parliament and attempting to bash us all over the head yet again, and I don't think it will work. And that's why I'm working very closely with colleagues across parties to try and find solutions, because we need a way out of this crisis.
But Number 10 is still trying, to find an escape out of the dark hole they're in. Tomorrow they'll ask Parliament to allow them to take another step. Laura Kuensberg, BBC News, Westminster.
Well, let's speak to our Ireland correspondent Emma Vardi, who is in Stormont for us tonight. And all eyes on the DUP. Their support is crucial. Any sign that they're going to change their stance at the last minute?
Well, tonight, as things stand, there quite simply isn't. You know, over the last few weeks, there have been many avenues explored intensively between the DUP and the government to try to make this deal more palatable. But all those avenues just keep seeming to lead to dead ends. Now, if the backstop were to kick in, that could mean Northern Ireland being treated differently to the rest of the UK, this place alone having to follow EU rules. There has been something discussed called the Stormont Lock. That would mean this place, the Northern Ireland Assembly, having a role in whether Northern Ireland were to accept new EU rules, and promises that if Northern Ireland had to remain closer to the EU, then the rest of the UK would do something similar, would stand by them. But there's distrust and suspicion in the DUP over whether those promises would be kept further down the line. Now, make no mistake, there are many Remain voters here in Northern Ireland who would like to see that deal go through, if only to end all the uncertainty. But I can tell you this, that pressure alone is not going to force the DUP's hand, because as long as they believe that this deal could chip away at Northern Ireland's position within the United Kingdom, they're going to find it extremely hard to back it, because that belief in the union is the most fundamental thing that the DUP is all about.
Emma Vardi, thank you. Meanwhile, there was a furious reaction from business leaders today to the ongoing deadlock over Brexit. The head of the British Chambers of Commerce said MPs needed to stop chasing rainbows. He told the group's annual conference that uncertainty was causing real-world damage to the UK economy. Our business editor, Simon Jack, looks at the daily pressure on companies.
Where do you go to escape from Brexit? How about this caravan and camping site in Dorset?
Hello.
Hi there. Pat and John headed back from Spain in time for the original Brexit date because they had so many unanswered questions.
Insurance, motorhome travelling insurance, our private medical. A big thing for us is our mobile phone roaming charges, because that's the only communications we have when we're abroad.
There's also the delays on the other side of the channel. There's also things like our driving licences that we don't know if they stack up.
And the dogs?
We don't know about how their passports stack up. We don't know about blood testing, the rabies jab.
Real questions affecting real life choices and creating some business winners and losers.
All the quality ones are German.
Campsite owner Dave is one of the few winners.
We're having a fabulous year so far. We were 300 bookings up in February on last year, and March is following suit. There's a lot of uncertainty with the economic climate and the Brexit situation. The pound is very weak against the euro. Are the ferries going to be congested with extra freight coming in if there's a no-deal situation?
It is perhaps incredible that we don't know what kind of Brexit we're going to get yet and when, but for businesses the effects of it are very real, and it's creating winners like this camping and caravan park in Dorset, but it's creating many, many more losers. For most businesses, it's that combination of caution, confusion and frustration at the political impasse that is causing real-world damage. Businesses like this one here in Portsmouth.
Jane Mugridge makes fruit cordials and vinegars. Last year, she sold nearly 30,000 bottles, until bottles became one of her biggest Brexit problems.
These are our cordial bottles. The French have decided they're not going to make or supply them anymore because of the uncertainties with Brexit. That's 50% of our business out the window straight away.
Can't you get them from somewhere in the UK?
No, the British don't make pretty bottles. They make bog standard plain bottles.
What do you think politicians think about business? Do you think they recognise the needs of business?
Well, politicians don't listen to small businesses. They don't really care, I don't think.
Businesses big and small from all around the country came to Westminster today. The message was simple.
Get the deal done, remove uncertainty and lean in to investing in what is a great economy.
Finding a neat way to decouple from Europe is the key to getting business moving again. Simon Jack, BBC News.
So this latest vote on Brexit is expected tomorrow afternoon. Can the Prime Minister finally get the support she needs, at least for this part of her Brexit deal? And if she doesn't, what happens next? Here's our Deputy Political Editor, Pina.
For Theresa May, Parliament's become a hostile environment. Every PM admits there's something scary about the Commons. Theresa May could be forgiven for hating this place. Her Brexit deal has been blocked twice. So the plan now, try again to win the House and buy time to get her deal through. Tomorrow is about the EU divorce, and the fight over Britain's future relationship with Europe still comes later, and it still looks tough. Promising to go failed to do the trick. As someone put it, she fell on her sword and missed. So how's the search for more votes going? Not very well. The fight over the future's just warming up. Agreeing the so-called withdrawal agreement easily hard enough on its own. The Democratic Unionists, led by Nigel Dodds, just aren't buying promises to safeguard the Union when Britain leaves. That's made it harder to win round rebels like Jacob Rees-Mogg, who won't back the deal unless the DUP's on board. Others say the same. Even with potential leadership candidates like Boris Johnson and like David Davis on side, Mrs May needs more. Her offer to resign has made it harder to win round Leave-accepting Labour MPs. They don't want to see a more Brexiteer PM. As for the post-Brexit future, well, MPs couldn't agree an alternative plan yesterday, but a so-called softer Brexit, sticking with EU customs rules, came close. A new referendum wasn't far off either, and that's frightened some Brexiteers who are coming to see Mrs May's deal as the best Brexit on offer, just not enough. So Britain may end up back in Brussels seeking more time. The EU gave Mrs May until tomorrow to agree a deal if it wants a Brexit extension to May the 22nd to fix the details, or, if her deal fails, face a tighter deadline on April the 12th. That on paper could mean a no-deal Brexit in a fortnight. Now, Team May is hoping they can at least get MPs behind the terms of divorce, the withdrawal agreement, and that'd be enough to get past April the 12th and give Britain to the third week in May to get the whole Brexit deal passed. Otherwise, there'd be 2 weeks to agree something else, a softer Brexit, a referendum, even some say a snap general election. And that would mean asking for more time, maybe a much longer extension. The EU could well agree, though it's the last thing Brexiteers in and outside the government want, let alone Theresa May. So the Prime Minister's still trying to beat the odds again tomorrow, hoping to keep her plan alive, to pass on a legacy, to be the PM who settles Brexit until the next big row, that is, under new management at number 10.
Back now to Brexit, because tomorrow, the 29th of March, was meant to be the day that Britain left the European Union. But that, as we know, isn't happening, at least for now. Our special correspondent Ed Thomas has been to Weston-Super-Mare in North Somerset, where, like the whole UK, they voted 52 to 48 in favour of leaving. So what do voters there make of the delay to Brexit?
We will be leaving the EU on the 29th of March 2019 at 11 p.m.
Tomorrow was meant to be the day that changed everything.
I was hoping for the start of a new future.
Brexit, a government's promise to a nation.
I want to wake up and find it's all been a bad dream.
Yeah, I do too.
I don't want it to happen.
How do you feel right now?
Let down.
Democratic vote doesn't count, does it?
Weston-Super-Mare in North Somerset, which voted leave, but only just.
It's been going on so long, it's just fed up with it.
Nearly 3 years on, like everyone else, Steve and Theresa are still waiting.
What were we voting for?
For certainty.
So what do you want to happen?
Anything, so a decision one way or the other, so we know where we're going.
So you take anything, no matter what?
Yeah, at the moment, yeah.
You take leave, go.
Yeah.
You take no deal, go.
Yeah.
You take remain.
Yeah. Take anything, just get it out of the way. I'm just fed up with it. It's all it is about Brexit.
Did you vote in the 2015 election?
No.
2010?
No.
But the referendum you did?
Yes.
Dave says life hasn't been the same since the last recession.
I feel completely disenfranchised.
He wanted Brexit this weekend.
The start of a new era where we can have the schools performing, the law, police performing, not overworked, the hospitals not under as much pressure from people coming in.
And why do you think those issues are the fault of the European Union?
I didn't say they're the fault of the European Union. It's the fault of our own politicians for allowing it to happen.
forget about all of it because I don't think we should be leaving. I don't know how our country, as small as us, will be able to survive on our own because we're not Great Britain anymore, we're just Britain.
At the Bridge Club, a sense of real disillusionment.
What's the word you used to sum it up?
Betrayal. Whether you voted for or against it, I think democracy has been died. It's been killed off by the self-seeking elite.
Brexit. Lost all interest in it.
At Raddy's, it's cup final night.
Brexit.
A word they don't want to hear.
Go away.
I reckon we should stay where we are in the EU.
But what about the 17 million people who voted to leave?
It worked before, didn't it? Why change something that don't need to be changed?
As we wait for a Brexit compromise, it's unclear when or who will find a way out, as both sides here become increasingly frustrated. Thomas, BBC News, Weston-Super-Mare.